Hi guys, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we're going to be making a pair of trousers with pockets that will serve as theater scrubs. So I'm starting off with 4 pieces of fabric on fold. To get the amount of fabric you're going to fold, you add 14 inches to the hip measurement, and then you fold unequally. The 2 layers on top are for the front piece of the trouser, and the 2 layers below are for the back piece of the trouser. And when you fold, please remember that the back piece is going to be longer than the front piece by about 2 inches. Next, I'm going to place my vertical measurements. My trouser length is 38 inches, but the band is 2 inches wide. So on the front piece, you can see me placing my tape starting from the 2-inch mark. Then I'm going to mark all the way down to 38, and then I'll add 2 inches for hemming allowance and allowance to attach the band to the trouser. Next, I'm going to be marking the length of my flap, and the flap or the crotch depth is the hip measurement divided by 4. So I'm going to subtract 2 inches for the band from that measurement, and the hip measurement I'm working with is 45 inches. So divided by 4, that gives me 11.25. So that is what I'm marking on the front piece of the trouser. Next, I'm going to be placing my horizontal measurement, and because this trouser is going to have an elastic band at the waist, the measurement I'm placing at the waist will be the same thing at the hip, which is the hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance and 1 inch for ease. Next, I'm going to come down to the crotch line and mark the same measurement I marked at the waist. Then I'll join the 2 lines together. Next, I'm going to extend the crotch line by 2 inches, and I will curve from the waist down to that extension. If you have a French curve, feel free to use that. If not, you can curve freehand like I am doing. Next, I'm going to come down by about 1 to 2 inches below the crotch line and mark half of the lap plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Then I'm going to extend that all the way down to the bottom of the fabric. Then on the front piece, I'm going to come down from the waist by 6 inches only on the front piece and mark that point. This is going to serve as the pocket opening. On the back panel, I'm going to extend the crotch line by 2.5 inches. Then I'll extend the waistline by about 2 inches, and I'll extend the lap by 2 inches. Then I'm going to extend that all the way down to the bottom of the fabric or the hemline, and then I'll join all these points I've extended on the back panel together. At the center back, I'm going to extend the back panel by 2 inches. Then I'm going to draft that or extend that line all the way down to the waistline of the front piece. When I'm done, I'm going to cut out my front panel separately and my back panel separately. Like I said earlier, I'm extending the back panel at the center by 2 inches, and I will join that to the 2.5 inch extension I made at the crotch line. At the center of the front panel, I came down by 1/2 inch, and then I extended that towards the side of the waist. Next, I'm going to cut out my pocket from a rectangular fabric that's 11 inches long and about 14 inches wide. I'll cut 2 pieces out on fold, and at the bottom of those pieces, I'm going to curve it a little bit towards the center, as you can see. Next, I'm going to be cutting out 2 pieces of fabric that are going to be used for the band for the front panel and the back panel. It's 5 inches wide and the length is about 5 inches more than the hip measurement. Now it's time to sew our trousers, so we'll move over to the machine. We'll start by placing one of the pocket pieces on the front piece of the trouser about half an inch from the waistline, and we're going to sew all the way down to the 6-inch mark we made on the front piece of the trouser. Then we're going to make a cut right where we stopped stitching and above where we started stitching. Next, we're going to flip the pocket piece to the back of the trouser. I'm going to sew half an inch from the pocket opening. And we're going to sew from the top of the pocket opening right to the 6-inch mark that we made earlier. At the end, we're going to stitch up and cut off all excess thread. When you're done stitching, this is what your front piece should look like with the pocket piece behind it. Now you're going to flip the pocket piece forward and you're going to fold it like so. Afterwards, you're going to sew the bottom part of the pocket together and hide those rough edges. You stop sewing about 3/4 of an inch from the pocket mouth and stitch. After this, you're going to give a little cut above where you stitched. Then you're going to turn your pocket inside out and you'll see that the rough edge is going to be hidden. When you've turned the pocket inside out, poke out the pointed edge, and if you want, you can top stitch at this point. And when you turn your fabric over to the front, you see that you've made your pocket. Next, I'm going to place my back panel on my front panel right side facing each other, and I'm going to join the edges together, avoiding the pocket mouth. That's why we made those cuts above the pocket and below the pocket, so that you can easily shift the pocket away when you are joining the seams. So you can choose to join your seam from the bottom or from the top. I prefer to join mine from the bottom just to make sure everything is even and equal. At the bottom, I joined the front and back pieces with about 1 inch sewing allowance, but towards the top I reduced it to half an inch just to create a little penciled effect. Make sure you grab all pieces of the trouser so I don't have any holes or anything showing. Now I'm simply attaching the pocket to the front panel at the top. This is to avoid mistakenly sewing it to the back panel when you're placing your band. This has happened before, so just as a precaution, I like to make sure that it's secure to the front and avoid stories that touch the heart. I've attached the pocket to the other side of the front. Now I'm going to place both sides of the front on top of each other and join them at the crotch. I'm repeating the same step at the back. I'm joining the crotch at the back together and I'm sewing that down with my machine. Next, I'm going to open up the trouser, making sure the front and the back pieces are well aligned, and I'm going to sew down from the crotch down to the hemline. And just like when I was joining the other side, at the top I'm sewing with 1/2 inch allowance, and towards the bottom I'm increasing that to 1 inch. Now I'm going to go ahead to attach the band to the trouser. I loosened the seam at the top of the trouser by about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to attach the band from one end of one side, that's from one end of the back to the other end of the back, and from one end of the front to the other end of the front. I've gone ahead to attach the band to the front and the back pieces of the trouser. The band was 5 inches. I folded it in half and I attached that to the body of the trouser. Now I'm passing elastic through 1 inch elastic through the band using a safety pin, and at the end I'm going to secure that down with my machine. You repeat that on both sides, and then when you're done you cut off excess elastic and then join the top of the band together. After securing the elastic on both sides, I'm going to sew it down and close off that edge. After joining the edges of the band together, go ahead to hem the trouser, and that's it, you're done. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please ask any questions you have in the comment section. I'll be very glad to answer them. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Share this video as well. Thank you so much once again. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.